order. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to start by reading the Open Public Meetings Statement. In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws 1975, we advise that notice of this meeting was made by posting on the bulletin board Town Hall and serving the officially designated newspapers. A notice stating that this meeting would take place at the Town Hall at 7:30 p.m. on August 1st, 2024. Kristen?
Mrs. Canfield?
Here.
Mr. Davis is absent. Mr. Tadalevada?
Yes.
Mr. Frankel is absent. Mrs. Gaylor is absent. Mrs. Blatt?
Here.
Mrs. Wonga is absent. Mr. Jenkins?
Here.
Mr. Seaman is absent.
I'd like to make an announcement. The application number 589, 22 Brookside Drive, block 1304, lot number 13, Paper Mill Playhouse, was a referral from the zoning board. We are actually removing this seat. We're actually carrying it until the September meeting, so that's next month.
September 5th at 7:30, right here, no further notice.
Correct. Thank you. So we will jump to meeting minutes, the approval of minutes of June 6th, 2024 meeting.
So it's only Mr. Jenkins and Mr. Tadalevada that can vote on those meetings that were here.
Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, meeting minutes stand approved. Thank you. Memorializations, we have 5, so I'm just going to read application and address. Application number 549, 60 Linden Street. Application number 577, 122 Cypress Street. Application number 578, 12 Chestnut Place. Application number 580, 117 Cypress Street. And application number 566, 10 Forest Drive. Are there any additions, corrections, or questions on these memorializations to the board?
I just want to point out to the commission that 10 Forest is a correct memorialization because I had the wrong surveyor listed. I don't know how I did that, but I usually have everything open on my desk. And I just so I apologize. That's a correction without the it's exactly the same as you've already done.
Real quickly, didn't turn on the mics. We should do that. How's that?
Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right. So do I hear a motion to approve with the corrections made on 10 Forest Drive?
Are we all eligible to vote on all of these?
Yes, because they received a copy of the memorialization. So this is
Even though they weren't here for the meeting.
If you, yeah, I think you had to be here for the meeting.
No,
for
they,
memorialization.
yes, because
Okay.
otherwise you don't know what happened unless you read a transcript. So since
So
no
it's
one's.
only Mr. Jenkins and Mr. Tadalevada again.
Motion to approve.
second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion stand approved as correct. Thank you. We are going to move on to new business. Our first application this evening is 91 Highland Avenue, block 2205, lot number 3. It's a contributing property in the Short Hills Park Historic District. It's a regulatory application to construct a second floor bathroom addition, new windows and doors on the existing detached garage, relocate an existing garage door to the detached garage, modify the driveway to enter the front of the detached garage, and remove a portion of the driveway to the left of the detached garage. If we could ask the applicants and professional to be sworn in, please. It's a contributing property.
Sure.
application. It says, that was just a-
That's just numbers. Yeah, the agenda must not be right, but here it says
Contribute.
So council.
Who were the witnesses?
The applicant,
Okay.
Akshay
Mr. Kashia.
Kashyap,
And,
and I am Dave Rosen, architect.
okay, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you provide on the application tonight to the commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
Just introduce.
So I'm Akshay Kashyap. That is a model that they've made of 91 Highland. We closed on this house in January and we moved here in April, and we've been making some small improvements, and some of those are in this application. There's a bathroom to be built on the second floor, which has, as of right now, 2 bathrooms between 3 bedrooms, and some changes to the access to the garage. Dave will talk more about it.
Any questions for Akshay?
Please proceed.
Okay. This house, 91 Highland Avenue, was built probably in 1920. Barton Ross mentions 1925. Excuse me 1 second. He mentions 1925, but I believe that that's not the actual date when it was built. According to the David Gibson and Associates report, it was built in 1920 with alterations in 25, 40, 43, and so on. 15 years ago, our firm did a renovation of this house. And at that time, in order to illustrate what was happening at the house, we had built this model. And people liked it back then. So we glued the pieces of paper that were coming off and so on and brought it back. And what we're talking about, the front of the house is, as you can see it there, on the driveway side, and then coming around, I'm going to tip it this way, but we had added in 2009 this section back here. So this and this. The original house was an L shape like this. We had added a second floor on the left side of the house, as you see it from the street, 10 years ago. So that's in 2014, and we had renovated the existing porch down below here. All the renovations that we did at that time were, we started with a photo of the house from, which was from a booklet that had been put out by the Summit Herald, which was a newspaper back then and still when I was a kid. And it was a booklet called Beautiful Homes of Summit and Short Hills. And so this is a picture of the house, really, I think, kind of at its peak at that time. There's another photo, which is a terrible photo, but that's what Barton had sent over. But by 2008, the house looked quite different. We had made a number of changes. The house had been sort of colonialized, painted white. 6/6 windows had replaced the 1/1s, and the front entrance had been, the enclosed area of that vestibule had been taken away. They had enclosed a porch on the front left side of the house. And at that time, we tried to bring it back for many of those things. There's also a low wall, stone wall at the front. By 2008, that wall was gone, and you can see it up close. But you can see, I think it's in the package that you have, that the patio furniture, you can see all the way down to the bottom. So when we renovated at that time, and I'll be just 2 more minutes about what we've done before. We restored the front vestibule. We replaced the windows with 1/1s. We put this, what had originally been an open porch, back to about what we thought it was at the time, but with windows. You can see barely, but there are vertical lines in here which divide that into thirds, and you can see it even in this terrible terribly reproduced photo. So we tried to put some of those things back. Additionally, we changed the color of the house from white to a more of a wood tone, as it was originally. Believe it or not, this model was that same wood tone, but in the 15 years that it sat up on a shelf in my office, the beige went away and we end up with mint chocolate chip. But our intent is not to paint any of it mint chocolate chip, especially the stone and so on. But anyway, the original house, and it's in some of the information, there's some photos, the original house was this L shape. And when we added around here, we added family room, kitchen, mudroom, breakfast area, the kind of rooms that people tend to use all the time now. And essentially, other than a kitchen, didn't exist when this house was built in 1920, those kinds of rooms. We had gotten approval back then. It had been a little difficult for a couple of the members to understand what we were doing, so we built this model. Now, this model actually turns out to come in handy because we're adding this little area here. It's almost square. It's about 80 square feet on the second floor. It is against the part of the house that we had added 15 years ago. It does not obscure other than about a foot or two against the corner of the original house. It doesn't obscure the original house. We didn't bring it even out quite as far as the rest of the breakfast area in order to not change the overall form of the house. So we've gone through the pictures, and in the floor plan on HPC 5, you can see this sort of almost square of what we're doing. We're affecting essentially nothing else on the house other than putting a door through what's currently an exterior wall. We're not even taking out a window or anything. So it's just to add this bathroom, 2 sinks, combination tub, shower, and toilet, so that this back bedroom can have a bathroom in closer proximity. These 2 bedrooms share the hall bathroom that's between them. The primary suite has its own bathroom over here. So that's really the first half of what we want to do. And the second half is that there is a garage, a detached garage, which was built in 1943 at the back right corner of the property. The garage currently is a 3-car garage entered from the side, but as you can see on the existing site plan, the driveway comes in, swings to the left, back around to the right, and the paved area of the driveway comes essentially to the center of the back part of the property. And we would like to modify where the garage doors are. Instead of having, you can see on HPC 7, instead of having at the lower left, instead of having 3 garage doors on the side and that paving extending way into the yard, we would like to move the garage doors to the front so that the garage doors face straight out. In doing so, we're keeping the same architectural details and the elements of this building, which are a little bit different from the main house. In particular, there are currently 6/6 windows, and we're keeping those, and the new windows will match those, rather than shifting it to make it more like the original house. We will require a variance for the garage because a front-facing garage requires a variance, even though you can't see it, because from the street, you have to come all the way to the front right corner of the property, look straight down. But because of the way it's planted and the topography, you can't actually see the garage. You certainly couldn't see the garage doors, but we'll go to the Zoning Board of Adjustment after, hopefully after approval here, and we'll request that variance. The way that the driveway goes in, if you look straight back, we're going to take a retaining wall that currently bends around, kind of straighten it out a little bit in order to be able to get there. But from straight on the driveway, you can't see it. And as I mentioned, from the front corner, you can't see that either. The benefit is, and you can see it on the proposed site plan, is that instead of the driveway swinging way out here, it'll give a much better play area and a more attractive area for the property and a slightly reduced lot coverage. Let me just confirm. Yeah, we're reducing by not quite 2% on the lot coverage on that. I know that's not your issue, but I think that it goes towards the beautification of the back part of the property. I think that it benefits the neighborhood a bit with the neighbor behind. The neighbor to the right would not really see that because of the way the topography is. And again, in some of the photos, these were taken before things had really, sort of the leaves had really come on. But in looking at the existing garage, the ground goes up and gets close to the top of the first floor, even right at the garage. And then as it gets farther away, the ground continues to rise up. So we have these two parts of the project that we would like to get approval on, the garage being the second one, and the first one was this bathroom. These are following when they bought the house. There were a number of areas in the house that had, it's not, to put it nicely, they settled, but they actually, in one bedroom, there's a little over a 3-inch dip in the floor. So in some rooms, we've put back new flooring raised up in order to have it not flat, but better than what it was. We've used the same kind of wood. We use rift cut, quarter sawn, white oak, and so on, with borders so that it feels like it's part of the original house. Where the stair had settled in, that was opened up, restructured so that it's not quite as sagging. You don't sort of drift to the side as you're walking down the stairs. So some of that work has been done in advance of them moving into the house. And then these are the next items that we'd like to do. So I'm glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Is Mr. Ross on my, I was just gonna ask him if he had any additional comments. We certainly received his recommendations for this application.
Yes.
Are there any questions or comments from the commissioners?
So just to be clear, the garage is going from a 3-car garage to a 2-car
Correct.
garage?
Right now, it's 3 cars and nothing else.
Uh-huh.
But as with a lot of families, if there are bicycles, gardening things, all of things that somebody doesn't want in the house that end up in the garage before they get thrown out. We will still have, this really probably serves as 2 cars plus a variety of other things. In the proposed plan, the position of the extra things is just modified, but the 2 cars can fit in nicely from the front. It's very snug, opening doors. They bang the other car in the current configuration with 3. It's a little bit tighter than what we would normally do, but it's the other things will be farther back in the garage. I just wanted to mention also that some of the terminology, I know that you're probably familiar with it, but this house has been called different things depending on what era it was. So now it's considered a contributing structure with the categories being non-contributing, contributing, and key contributing. This is in that middle zone. In 1920, it's a Hartshorn house, but it's toward the end of well, actually not the end of his life. He was about 80 when this was built. Stuart Hartshorn lived till 96, died in 1937, but he really slowed down, I think. He had done enough. but
That's fair.
He could have done a little more. But so this is an unnumbered house. It's sort of, I don't know the history of exactly who was in charge of things, but I would think that he had achieved an awful lot in building a significant part of our community. And by 80, I think there were still properties that he owned and houses developed, but it doesn't have, it's not a key contributing, I think, for part of that reason. In the past, it has been considered there are other categories that used to be used, but the standard now is Secretary of the Interior Standards for Historic Preservation, Rehabilitation, and so that's the current language. Previously, it was a designated house, and there's one other that it was also referred to as.
I do have a historic question.
Yes.
Was there a secondary structure on this property through an old map? Or do you know how the doors or barn doors or whatever was there, how they were faced?
Yeah, good question. I don't know the answer to that. The information that we have, I mean, these could be original. I don't know. They may have been replaced from 1943. They were there in 2008, so 15 years ago they were there. And it's a lot of people well, some of the people who have lived in this house have felt that it's a little bit too far, and they park in the loop in the front or on the driveway on the right side and come into the house. The prior owners, the Tomcos, used both of those. I don't know if they ever put their cars in the garage, but they tended to leave them out front. I mean, going up and down the Highland, I would see Brian Tomco's Audi with various versions. He had the same car, but it was always out front or just to the side. I don't know really how much this garage was used or whether there was another structure prior to that. It would seem likely that in 1920 there should have been something, but from 1920 to 1943, I'm not sure what that garage was. If it was taken down, it was probably in the same general area because the driveway naturally goes back there, but I don't have any information on that.
Well, my reason for asking is if there is a photograph of that particular structure and you could see if it was forward facing.
Yeah.
So that might help you possibly in zoning, so.
Right. I don't know, thank you, but I don't know about that. It should, a lot of times in those 1928 Robinson maps, they'll show that. There are some other maps from around that era, the Sanborn fire insurance maps sometimes had those with, and they would just draw a little box even if they didn't really describe it. I don't know.
I have a question, and that is in the proposed plan on HPC 3,
Yes.
the area to the left of the words modified drive, where the retaining wall is coming in
Yes.
around that you're taking out, what is that area? Is that area driveway like for a K-turn, or is it something else?
Oh, you mean over to the left of where it says modified
Yes,
drive?
correct.
That is a place to be able to turn around.
Okay.
In order to be able to come out safely. The driveway, one could back all the way up and then come around the loop. But again, a lot of times there's a car in
Got it.
the loop. So we figured that using the garage would be nice to do the K-turn here and then come out face first, a little bit safer.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, do we have anyone in the audience here for the open meeting or to the public on this application? Please come forward if there are. Do we have anyone on Zoom? Okay. Perfect. Hearing no more questions or comments, do I hear a motion to approve this application?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second? Crystal?
Mrs. Canfield,
Yes.
Mr. Talavada,
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins,
Yes.
Mrs. Black. Yes.
Thank you very much. Good luck with the rest of your big agenda.
Well, thank you
Tonight.
and good luck.
Thank you.
So next on the agenda, we have application number 574, 121 Highland Avenue. Mr. Bayo, my understanding is you'd like to carry this application to this September HPC meeting?
No, the October.
Okay.
I'd like to carry it, if it's okay, without renoticing.
What's the date of that? Say the date on the record. October 3rd at 7:30 with no further notice. Thank you. You're welcome.
You need to vote on that?
No.
Okay, perfect. Next on the agenda is application number 575-85 Stewart, block number 3103, lot number 5. It's a contributing property in the Short Hills Park District. Marcos and Stephanie, and I will butcher this. Monero, right, thank you. This is a regulatory application for the construction of a freestanding metal roof structure over an existing tennis court in the rear yard. I would like to take this time to remind the commission that this application was presented to the HPC at the June 2024 meeting. They are here tonight addressing some concerns that the commissioners had and have made changes to the architectural element. So we welcome you back.
Thank you.
So if we could have you. Let me ask council, will we need to swear them in again?
I think it's been a long time. Services and.
Thomas
ma'am,
Bayo, architect.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll provide tonight on this modified application will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please proceed.
Okay, well, thank you once again for hearing us. We appear tonight to present the latest version of our tennis pavilion structure for 85 Stewart Road. I have taken the time to research and download reports addressing comments from the last meeting, and I'm here to present those if needed as exhibits, and it's quite extensive. So I'm not sure how deep we want to go into this. The exhibits I have are in response, there's a bunch of them, are response to sound from the last meeting. And I'm submitting data on decibel readings, which I was able to download, discover, as well as 2 public documents related to sound reports produced on the subject of tennis sound. The first is from an Australian presentation on tennis sound levels versus road noise. This was pertaining to an application on moving tennis courts closer to a residential district. The next one is a report from the Fort Lauderdale 1999 white paper on the sound of tennis. And a final exhibit, which is a chart comparing tennis to other sports, which was discovered by me online. The conclusion is that tennis is considered a quiet sport with sound decibel readings generally less than voice. And in everything I could submit, it's under 55 decibels.
Okay, first of all, Ginny, do we need to put those in as exhibits? Or?
Would you like to
Um,
have them marked as
I
evidence
would
and put them in?
submit them if the board wants me to submit them, because I did a lot of research. There was a lot of discussion on sound.
Well, certainly, yes, and
All right.
I
I
think it
did,
would be beneficial.
yes, I did watch the video, so if we could use those as exhibits, I think that would be great.
6.
Um,
I'm going to mark,
Mark them.
and I'll give you the marked ones. And
One through,
I believe we're up to A4.
oh, okay, fine,
So
okay,
I'll mark it as A5,
fine.
and I'll date it 8/1/24. And A6. And A7. These are yours.
Thank you.
Um, So with those addressed, per our conversation with Bart and myself, what was some of the other measures that you were taking, sound that we had spoken about, or?
I was gonna get to that, actually. Let me get through these exhibits and then I'll come back to those individually. These are backup data on decibel sounds. Needless to say, tennis is generally quiet. I just appeared and we didn't have enough data sheets at the time to validate it, so that's why I brought that. All right. Next, in anticipation of any discussion on light spillage, I hired a lighting expert. So someone actually produced a lighting report for us. So I have that planometrics, which I'll hand out to you. Basically, the data set includes expected foot candles at parts of the court and around the property immediate to the court. And another one to that is the US Tennis Association standard on recreational tennis and the recommended light play that they wanted. So that's it for the exhibits then. 6, so this would be.
Next. And we already have an A7, this is A8.
This is A8.
Yeah,
Can-
this is A8. Yes, and just put your initials on it. Thanks.
The last two. That is the light we're doing. And these are the planometrics.
We can pass them down. You can
Oh,
give them
okay.
to Jessica.
It might be a short one.
Here.
No, I have 10.
Got it? Okay.
All right, sorry, and thanks for that. Okay. It is our intent to provide light levels between 32 and 60 foot candles. The exhibit that I've given you, especially the one produced by the lighting engineer, shows that roughly 58 feet away from the base of the court, which has a 12-foot wide apron anyway, the light spillage is virtually zero. And that's on page 3 of the engineer's report. And finally, I have our updated renderings, which are in your packets. I hope you can appreciate the extraordinary detail that went into making the structure appropriate for the setting. Firstly, we have introduced tonight a 24-inch wall around the tennis court. There was discussions about historical tennis structures. I think that the relevancy of adding a wall was remarkable. And we have re-rendered it to represent the ivy, as well as the wall and the stone columns, which will support the roof. The roof looks the least like a steel structure now at any time during our presentations. And I hope you agree that the application has made great strides into what we hope becomes an approvable application tonight. Thank you.
Again, Mr. Ross. So right now, are there any questions or comments from the commissioners?
I was just gonna ask about the lighting. I know you have this report here and maybe you can explain a little bit more in layman's terms, in terms of like how much light is going to be here. I see the spillage doesn't go past the property here.
Yeah, the spillage is roughly, it's a weird shape because of the angle of the roof. The page 3, these are front and back. So page 1 is the cover, page 2 is the back of page 1. Page 3 shows where lighting levels of between 38 and 60 foot candles is achieved. Yeah, so that's in the yellow areas. The green basically is anywhere from 31 to 38, which is the USTA recommended for recreational play. And then the reds come all the way down to about 2 foot candles. So at 58 feet, the number of foot candles is effectively 0. It is worth telling you that there are very tall trees all around the tennis court. The trees are, in many cases, 30 feet tall. We don't expect there to be light spillage beyond the pool to the left, shown on my presentation here, beyond here, or really onto these trees that surround the rest of the property. And also, prior to the second meeting that we attended, we planted a row of about 30 more trees, very tall ones, green giants.
Yeah, I think I
So-
remember that from last time.
Yeah, so this is a very well shielded application. The perspective drawings that I presented in your packet, they're not as bright as this one. Effectively show the tree line that's all around the tennis pavilion and the unique sort of style of this tennis pavilion. It looks like an outdoor arbor, and that is by intent. Off of the steel, we're bringing outriggers, so it looks like it is a pergola. And from the only view which you can really see from, I had to do it from the air, so we rented a drone. You can see that it's tucked in back here, and it's really not visible. And it's a delightful structure. And I'm very proud that this is nice and dark and exhibits it with shadowing. This is one of the nicest accessory structures I've ever had the privilege to design. And I hope you agree. The ivy, the stone, the wall, the coloration, the translucent of the roof, much of the roof panel, all are producing a wonderful recreational structure that hopefully will survive a long time.
Yeah, the translucent roof, what is that material?
I brought. So I'll show you a photo. And then I have a. Okay. The translucent roof is made of a polycarbonate plastic of 3 layers. It's structural. It's a snow load above support. And it really is down the whole center of the structure so that for the most part, it appears to bring light into the tennis pavilion. And for the most part, unless there's evening play, the lights probably don't have to be on.
I was just getting ready to say that.
Sure.
Has that changed since the last time?
Yes,
It was a tin roof.
yes.
Yes.
We talked about sound, we talked about putting blankets, we talked about light, well, light a little bit and sound mostly.
Yeah, talking about sound, I know you had those, you were hanging things from the ceiling to absorb, are those?
They're not hanging, yes, they will
or
be.
like mounted?
On the side, so the center part is translucent material. We're
Yeah, so
not putting the
that'd be
blankets
okay.
there. If a ball hits it, it won't sound as tinny as the underside of the standing seam metal.
Perfect.
What exhibit number are we up to?
Oh, the last one was 10.
10.
I do have a question, and I did listen to the video, so I did hear the comments. The color of the actual, can you talk a little more on that piece, the actual color of the beams and?
Sure. The beams are going to be colored burnished slate. I'll circle it. Sounds like I have another exhibit. Is this 8?
Yes, you do.
Correct.
I'm going to pass it around first.
Sure.
You guys can circle back. So that color is going to appear to be as close as we can get to the coppering patina of the house. It's initially brown and then turns green. We don't want to do that green on here now that we have ivy. So this structure, which appeared at one of your applications as green, is now that burnished tan.
And is that powder coated, or how is that?
Yes, it's powder coated aluminum. Yes,
And you said it will fade or won't?
will not.
It will not.
No, it's the best way to have the ivy juxtaposed against it. So that is really what we're trying to achieve, this sort of pagoda, pavilion, pergola.
Do we have any other questions?
So this noise report that you have submitted, is that on an open air tennis court or is it one of enclosed tennis courts?
Open air. Enclosed tennis would not produce a report. It's almost impossible to find. And we actually spoke, her mom had a sound engineer on their house in Westfield. I was gonna bring a sound engineer. But once I got deep into this, to find that tennis is effectively a sub 55 decibel sport, I'm hoping that my data submissions suffice the concern that you might have had.
We appreciate the effort you have put in since.
Oh, thank you. It took me hours and hours and hours
We
of
really
research.
appreciate that.
I think if I may, the only issue on sound would be our kids in the pool.
Oh, yes. If you look it up, sound in tennis is almost entirely made of grunts. The tennis players, the USTA, the International Federation, all arguing whether they should stop the grunting, and it's the decibel readings of the grunts can be upwards of 100 decibels in the measurements. While tennis, even in its active play, very active, back and forth, is achieved the highest ever recorded was 57 at 20 feet away. So it's generally a quiet sport.
You never knew you were gonna be such an expert.
Planometrics and sound attenuation have become new standards. I also want to point out, I'm not submitting an exhibit. We found a picture of this old enclosed tennis, and you see the light coming down the middle. There's a lot of merit to this structure being a very approvable historical element. And I hope you can all appreciate that the owners have been very patient with me as we work through getting this application done. So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Maybe,
Why did you carry the clear paneling all the way to the end? Why even bother with the metal?
The clear paneling doesn't have shear ability. So this structure is a bunch of skeleton bones, and I need lateral stabilization. So we can only do it for like the center bay, and they're even reluctant. Like they said, we really want to carry one down the middle at the pinnacle. We might have to, but there's an I-beam in there right now.
any other questions?
I think this is a really, I wasn't at the last meeting to see kind of the in-between, but from the first meeting, this one, I think this is really safe because it's much improved. And really goes along with the architectural design of the house itself. I thought that the noise concern was not so much the actual tennis playing, but to go to your question about it hitting the roof and making a sound on the roof. But I think that now that you've taken out that center portion, not that you've taken it out, but you've replaced it with this more translucent, whatever that material is. I think that should hopefully reduce the tinny noise, as
Yes.
you're saying.
It's
I didn't think it was a matter of like hitting the balls back and forth because the tennis court was pre-existing. I thought it was
Right.
just once you add a roof to it to, hear the balls. hit.
Right, we had some questions about the height. I'm not going to submit it as another exhibit, but the play in this family's tennis, this is not a court for professional play. It's played in the first 6 feet above the net. There's no major lobbing, but if they want to screw around and hit the roof, that's where we felt it could resonate.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'd like to open this up to the floor now. Do we have anyone in the audience for the open meeting? Or to the public? Okay. Having no more questions or comments, do I hear a motion to approve? I'd also like to add with the information and exhibits that were given, so. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I hear a second? Second?
Crystal? Mrs. Canfield?
Yes.
Mr. Tadalivada?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
And Mrs. Black?
Yes.
Thank you, Commission.
I also want to thank you for working with this commission and really listening to the commission and their concerns. And I appreciate all the changes that you've made.
Yeah, if I may add, I really want to thank you guys. I mean, I know it may have been a long process, but I think we came out with a beautiful structure. And as I told Tom and Allison, like, I think actually more in love with it than I was before. So I really want to thank you guys and thanks for pushing us out the comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because I think it really made a difference. So I'm super excited and really want to thank you guys for the support.
Oh, great. Thank you.
It's worth noting, guys, Marcos is a former professional soccer player.
Wow.
We are in our family, we encourage sports. So hence the roof is really to get them.
And he's in the video game.
So will you be playing soccer in that?
Our kids, as long
They
as they're
could.
playing sports, I think they, I'm happy, you know.
Well, welcome to the community and thank you very much for being
Thank you.
patient with the strike, and we appreciate what you've done here for this very special historic property.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
very much.
Thank you, Jessica.
Marcus, can you grab?
Next on the agenda is application number 588, 17 Highland Avenue, block 2111, lot number 17. It's a non-contributing property in the Short Hills Historic District. Mr. Plessy, it's my understanding you would like to carry this application to September?
17 Highland? Kidding?
Oh, I apologize.
Oh, no, this one, 17 Highland is the one.
Karen, that's the one, right? So that's what I said, 17,
158 Hobart is here,
right,
and 17 Highland we're
Karen, okay. To the October, or to the September 5th meeting? Is it the 5th? Okay,
No further notice.
thank you.
Thank you.
Right, we are now at the next application, number 590, 95 Cypress Street, block 207, lot number 6. It's a non-contributing property in the Wyoming Historic District. It's a regulatory application to construct an addition to the side and rear of the existing house and other associated site improvements. Oh, did I say?
Yeah, I think it's,
Yeah.
Tim, I'm not doing it on purpose.
No, I know, but I think you skipped
There it
over
is.
159 unless it.
I turned 2 pages, I apologize. So I have to read that? Okay, application number 187, 159 Hobart Avenue, block 2111, lot number 4. It's a contributing property in the Short Hills Historic District. It's a regulatory application to construct a one-story addition on the Wyndham Road side of the existing house and the reconstruction of a previously demolished pier, yes, on the Hobart Avenue corner. If we could have the applicants and Tim, if you could be sworn in.
Patricia Flavio Romero and Mr. Plessy, you swear or affirm that you will provide testimony that's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth on this application and commission tonight?
I do.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having us tonight. We've been living in this house for the past 7 years. It's actually the first house that I've owned, so I'm very attached to it. We moved to it 7 years ago. Fell in love with this farmhouse. It's very unique. It's very special. We've been caring for it lovingly for the past years, and now we want to do this addition. But we are very much committed to keeping its character and its historical appearance, and we are very much appreciative of your guys' help and guidance in doing so. So thank you for having us.
And the pier, yeah, I'm Flavio, and just she's in touch with us on the pier. It was almost being dissolved, let's say. So we're gonna repair it, look nice. We've got 2 piers on the street, and it's a little cul-de-sac, right? So it fell down, so we got to reconstruct that to its original.
Thank
you.
Maybe I'll do the pier first, since we're on it, and it's easy, I think. If you look in your pamphlet, or I think, is there a photo of the pier in there? There is. What is it? They're also inside the pamphlet at about, I think about page 25. Or inside the application. But the pier is the one in what I call photo B. or I guess also in photo A. There's a little pier on the corner of Hobart and Wyndham, okay? I actually was in Chatham on Monday night and had a Board of Adjustment application on Wingwood, okay? And the whole thing is really confusing me. So the pier is visible in photo A, and that's because I went and I found an old Google photo of it. That's what that is. You know, it's still on Google, even though the first time I saw the pier with these guys, it had already been removed. And this is a detail of that pier. And they were repairing it, and the mason, I think if I really understand this correctly, the mason decided that it would be smarter to just pull the whole thing down and rebuild it, so he demolished it. And then I think somebody from the town, or somebody called the town, and that got the town out, and we are just planning as part of this application to rebuild the pier as it is, and rebuild it to the shape that it was. I also included on C and D, the pier that's on the other side of the street. And they saved the plaque and they saved all the material and have it stored on the side of the property. And we're gonna rebuild it with all of the old material. So we're in good shape with that. And these are on the left side are construction details for the rebuilding of that pier. Okay, and that's something I kind of worked through with Barton. And it's also true that the pier is actually on the town property. It's within the right of way. So it's been a little issue that we've been going back and forth with the town, but everybody's on board at this point, and we're kind of would like your approval on the pier so that we can proceed and get that done. And in the meantime, we came once because we were trying to finish up this little addition that we want to do on the first floor. And they want to create a bedroom and a bath for their parents. And we putting that bedroom on my HPC 1 sheet in that front corner of the property on the Wyndham side. You know, there's a wraparound porch on this building, which I think was built around 1850. I read in Barton's thing that he saw something about 1880, and there is some information about 1880, but I think it's closer to 1850. It's an old building, and it was the original little farmhouse for this sort of farm area that is all that little T of Wyndham Road, if you ever went up that way, you know, where you gotta sort of back out when you get up there. But there's that little thing, that was all part of this initial farm, and I found an old, on one of the old maps, it almost looks like the old post office was on this property also. Almost as if that whoever owned this little farm, I'm calling it a farm just because it's vernacular, the building's like a farmhouse, but I don't know, it looks kind of like a bad site for a farm to me. It's kind of a steep hill, and I can't believe it was ever actually a farm. But it looks like they also owned what was the post office, you know, which is 2 doors down and later converted into a house. So I think it was built around 1850, and it was built with this little wraparound porch. And if I really look at this, you can see that this area here, I think at one point was probably the garage, and then a garage was added to the right, and this was enclosed and turned into a family room at some earlier date. And we're asking tonight to go in front. And we have to go to the Board of Adjustment with this also. So it fails on building coverage, and it also fails on front yard setback, but only by 3/4 of a foot front yard setback. So, and I'm looking at you as I say that. So that's where our bollard is. And you can see that the bollard or the pier is actually not really even on our property. And right as we bring the property line down. And that's what we're asking to do this evening. If I flip to my HPC 2 sheet, like this addition here would allow us to leave the existing garage as it is and build a bedroom, get a little study alcove and a small bathroom. It gives us a bathroom on this floor. That's what we're trying to do. And just looking at the size of that building is what leads me to believe that it must have been the garage at some point in time, although I couldn't really find anything substantial. And then if I go up, we have no work going on the second floor. It's really just a one-story addition. If I go to my HPC 3 sheet, you can see the existing porch coming around. This area is, I don't know if it was part of the porch that was previously enclosed, where is like a mud room and powder room. And this building that we have textured in is our new building. It's the windows would all match existing, the exterior trims, everything is easy to match in this house. It's all just wood. It's all easy to fabricate. There's actually not a lot of any extensive detailing work difficult to match. Everything is very easy to match here. And that is really our proposed addition. And then the existing garage, right? We're forward of the family room, which I'm kind of saying I think was at one time a garage. Then you can see from the side view, and this is our primary elevation. This is the Wyndham side that I'm showing. On my side view, looking back like you're on the Tia Wyndham coming down the hill, that's our building, which lines up with that existing porch. Then the bollard, which I previously went through. After that, you have these also the existing documents. In our basement, there is almost no basement in this house. This front area has a small basement. It's low. It's a little difficult. There's not a lot of room we definitely couldn't get a bedroom in down there. And we're trying to get it on the first floor. Our existing first floor, really, a lot of our building coverage is consumed by the front porch. Then we come into a living room. It has a side stairway. It's all in very good shape, this house. It was restored, I think about 20 years ago. It's actually really in good shape. The floors all look good. I mean, everything in it looks good. The handrail is still in place for the stairway. But it goes really living room, dining room, a kitchen, and our addition that we're proposing is right in that front area, forward of the existing family. In terms of the existing second floor, I would think that the initial building probably ended, is probably right about there, just these 2 bedrooms with the bathroom. And later, they added a master bath in this little den space with an additional stairway to get down to the first floor. This is really all just first floor roof existing. To get up to the attic level, there is 2 small bedrooms up there. They're very clipped. It's very low. The front here is at 3 foot 6 inches high. Here, this wall's at 5'10". It's a clip. This house is all clipped. None of that is changing. Like the existing elevations, the front, now we call the front really the Hobart side. But for us tonight, probably the biggest concern is really what we call the right side here, the Wyndham side. And our ask tonight is to add this building into this front area. I drew it a couple of different ways and actually sent it early on to Barton and kind of went through the best roof to use to sort of allow this building to look subordinate to the main building, but also to give us the space that we're trying to get, because it's nice to be able to update the housing to fulfill our clients' needs. And we went back through and picked the sort of flat roof as the most de minimis of the additions. And that's how Barton and I went through this. I go. See, the rendering It's supposed to, yeah, it's in your packet. Good. Sometimes the renderings come late, it's hard for me to get into the packet. Didn't this- That is actually our addition here. Right, this rendering is the same as the rendering that you have right in front of you. And then our landscape plan is over here. We really are adding just some perimeter landscaping, cleaning it up. The site itself is pretty well landscaped right now. We're adding really foundation planting. The whole really request for us today is really this little one-story addition, right? And the rebuilding, or actually the building of this pier to match existing, because it's been totally removed. You know, the photos of the existing building are on that page 24 of your packet, and 25, and the photos of the pier on that page 26. All that material has been all kept and stored and all ready for us to reuse. I also included the zoning just so you had it, because we are failing on building coverage and we are failing on lot coverage, although we don't really have an increase in lot coverage because there is an existing patio where we're proposing this building. This lot is really only 11,248 square feet, and it's in a zone that requires a 20,000 square foot lot. So to make it simple, the lot is about 55% of what it would be, or what the required would be for this zone. And that's kind of triggering some of our zoning issues. And that's my entire application. I think, you know, I have David Gibson's original report, and I think you have it too from Barton. And I guess in that report, they talk about it being an 1850s house originally. And Barton's asked us to match all the materials, which is easy for us to do. We were already actually doing it anyway. And he wants to see the construction documents. He gave us 3 little points at the end of his approval of what he wants. All of that is fine with us. I don't know if there's, I have one little exhibit if I can find it, if that may interest you. I don't know what it did with it, but it was almost like an old sandboard map that looks to me like it shows the post office as part of this property, which I thought was kind of interesting. Like the post office was privately held, I guess, or rented as a post office. But that is my entire application for tonight.
Well, thank you.
Any questions?
Do we have any questions or comments on this application?
One question,
Yeah.
in terms of that room that you're putting here, the existing like patio, or retaining wall, whatever that is, structure there, do we know how old that is? Is that original? Is that something that was added fairly recently? Any idea?
I think it was built in the 80s.
The 80s?
I think it was, that patio was added when the garage became a family room. If you get what I mean, that was the way they came in. They built that patio, which somebody around here would tell us is a zoning violation. But they must have removed the driveway, built the patio, and then added the garage. And it looks to me like that, all that work was done in the mid-80s.
Okay.
Questions?
Yeah. Otherwise, straightforward.
I just have some clarifications if you don't mind. The roof material on the flat roof, can you talk about that?
Yeah, we'll
just
use
for-
like a torch down material to match the asphalt.
Okay.
We'll match the roof that's on the porch right now.
And you're reusing the material on the pillar, how much of that was still on the pillar? Because you showed us the picture of the other pillar. A lot
The
of that's
pillar
missing.
is gone.
No, I know that, but I mean, how much of the material, the old material, do you have?
Everything, right? We
Yeah,
stopped. As soon as it happened, they called me. I said, get a tarp, put everything on the tarp. Let's cover it up, put it on the side of the house and
Okay,
get to the historic commission. So we have
So-
everything. They have the plaque, they have everything,
okay.
right? at the- everything.
Will you have to match some of the bricks or whatever that was, because were there some missing, I guess is what I'm
It was
asking.
already cement. It was like, we have everything,
Okay,
but it had already been repaired. And what happened is that like water infiltrated, it's crumbling.
Yeah.
Everything that
Question,
was there,
question.
it's saved. We will reuse as much as we can.
We're gonna reuse everything. We're gonna chip the mortar, the mortar pop right off, because it's that old mortar. So we'll reuse everything, but if we do need more material,
I would say.
you gotta call me right away, because I'll find
Yes.
material to match. It'll be easy, because I just run around to these other jobs and find it.
So ideally,
Yeah.
you.
But I know what you mean. We don't wanna put new material into the.
What about the bricks? Like, ideally, the whole thing would be covered like a one solid, everything is brick.
We are,
And before it came down and it was restored before, a lot of that had already come off and people put cement in it, which is,
Yeah.
to my knowledge, I mean, it's ugly, right? I would rather have the whole thing layer by layer of bricks.
right.
we really want to. Restore this to the.
Yeah, the front, yes, but the sides and
Where
the
they
backyard.
park, yeah,
this
that's
is
the other
not-
way.
Yeah.
That's the thing, like, it's just to make it look like that.
Like the
picture.
front, but all sides, right?
We're gonna do it on all sides.
If it's.
What
if
you're
it's
saying is, it
possible.
was like this is the back of
Yeah.
the other peat here, and
Right,
I think somebody's come and stuck it over it or something. But we'll,
And with some.
Expose
holes on
it all,
it'll spread that.
yeah, I mean, I'd
On all
really like
four
you to work with the town, because if they are restoring the other one, we want.
Oh, yeah, we
matching
can match,
material.
yeah, the other one as well.
So I'm hoping that.
Yeah,
works.
and we could talk to the neighbors also.
Okay.
We could certainly make them match exactly on both sides.
Great,
well, no, I guess if the neighbor wants to repair that one, they would, well, maybe we'd come informally, right? I mean, that pier would have to come to you guys also, really.
yeah, I'm just saying that maybe working
Yeah.
with whoever, whether it's the town or
I see.
the neighbor or whatever, and try to match the materials.
Mhm.
But would we need another permit for the neighbors as well, or can we basically do both?
I
If it's
think we
one
need
pillar-
another permit.
So ideally, if we can work on both, to get them both from some.
I think since we know what you're doing to this one, I think that could be a minor work.
We'll do it as a minor, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been through this. It's okay. Because it probably needed another permit too from the town, because it's a different property,
Possibly.
I'm sure
But
they're not.
You can work with Bart.
I can deal with Bartman with everybody then.
Okay, perfect. Any more questions, comments? Is there anyone in the audience for the open meeting floor to the public on this application? Nothing, no one on Zoom? Okay, so having no more questions or comments, do I hear a motion to approve this application? Motion. Do we have a second? Crystal?
Mrs. Canfield,
Yes.
Mr. Titlerotta,
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins,
Yes.
Mrs. Black.
Yes. Good luck.
Thank you.
Application approved. I'm excited. I hope you do some history on who owned it. and-
Yeah.
Yes, it's-
1850s,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
Got a lot of
we love
character.
it.
you know you're in walking distance to the society. You should have them research that.
Yeah, I would love to know more about the history. Tamlin covered a lot of interesting things.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a
Good
good
luck
night.
to you. All right. Last but not least here. Okay. Okay, this is 95 sites.
Yes.
Okay, this is application number 590, 95 Cypress Street, block 207, lot number 6. It's a non-contributing property in the Wyoming Historic District. It's a regulatory application to construct an addition to the side and rear of the existing house and other associated site improvements, etc. If we could have the applicants and the professionals sworn in, council.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony provided in the application tonight to the commission will be the truth, and truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please.
Good evening. My family and I moved into this house 2 years ago. It's our first home after a long search for a house. We pretty much love it at first sight. We love the neighborhood. We were looking almost exclusively even in the Wyoming district, and we love the house inside and out. And on moving in, we love the feel and the look of the inside. We quickly realized that there were, since we intended to live there we intend to live there for a long time, some usability improvements which is why we consulted Steve to see if we could make things more livable for us while keeping the exterior and interior as close to the same as possible. Is there any questions for me?
So as you said, it's a non-contributing house in the Wyoming Historic District. What we're doing to the house is exclusively on the back of the house. I know that the description says it's on the side, but it really is just in the back. What we're doing is on the, and this is, we're doing stuff inside, but I don't think that involves the historic district. But the only thing that you're going to see on the outside is if you look at our sheet A3, do you have the construction document? I believe you do, correct? Yeah. You look at our sheet A3. What we're doing is where the bathroom is now, we're going to take it out, we're going to raise the roof slightly, and we're going to move the bathroom into where the formal right rear bedroom is. And we're going to put an ensuite bathroom for the primary bedroom and then put a hall bathroom in. So basically, it's still going to be a 3-bedroom house, except there's going to be 2 bathrooms there. And if you look at our sheet A4, what we're doing is we're just raising the roof over this one little part of the house, and square footage wise, we're only adding 22 square feet to FAR. And the way the house is set up, I believe you have photographs, is there's bump outs on both sides of the house, on the left side and on the right side. So the addition that we're doing is really tucked in. So it's really hard pressed to even see the addition from the street. And we're not touching the front of the house. All the work that we're doing to the house, we're going to make it as seamless as possible. The existing house, we're going to match the materials. We're going to use the same kind of windows. And we feel that, just updating the house and making it more livable and doing the work on the back of the house, it is an appropriate addition. And also everything complies with zoning. So we don't need a variance. So we can do this by right as long as you guys approve it. And really, that's the whole thing. Pretty simple addition.
Thank you. Commissioners, any comments or questions for this applicant? I'd just like to say very well done. And thank you for taking and updating this historic house. We're glad you like it. And we thank you for doing the work that you're doing and being conscious of where it is and the size of the house and updating.
Yeah, we felt that was in context with the neighborhood, not to make it, a monster house. It's really going to be an appropriately sized house for the neighborhood.
Okay.
It doesn't, you're not taking it over FAR by having the 22.
No, everything is complying and so we don't need any variance and we're not building anything on the ground, so there's no more building coverage.
Yeah.
And the one thing I had asked earlier is if it's approved tonight, can we proceed with the permitting while waiting for you to memorialize?
And I think you got an answer.
That was kind of depending on.
So what I do, and this is an easy one, so I'm happy to do it, is I write a letter to the building department. And I say, we've approved it and here are all the conditions. So in other words, all the things that I would write in the formal ordinance for the most part, I write into the letter. I have to tell you that this building department, I've done this many times. In fact, I do it regularly at other townships. This township seems to think that's something new and different. But I think I've got them used to it now. You'll be the test.
Okay, well, I have done it in other building departments, that's why I'm asked, but
Yeah, no, it's.
I understand it with the variance, I didn't know with the.
Yeah,
with the
I try not to make people, especially where there's uncomplicated application, and they don't wanna wait or they can't wait a month to do it this way, so our secretary puts it on letterhead and it goes over there and it's official and maybe
Right, 'cause
you'll
they
need
already have the
to,
contract.
you may need to massage it a little,
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
absolutely. Couple extra little emails or phone calls.
But,
Big smiles when you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, give me like a week.
Smiles and laughs and jokes. And
Okay,
everything should be
okay.
Yeah, about a week,
Appreciate it.
no problem.
So I do have to ask if there's anyone in the audience for the open meeting.
Question, there's a note that the chimney is getting removed.
Yes, on the back of the house, because we're updating the mechanical system, there's a chimney that comes up in the back of the house that you can't see from the front of the house. So we're taking it out and we're just patching over the roof, so it's not gonna affect the aesthetic anywhere.
So, it was just a little bit up top.
Just a little bit up top where it came through.
It wasn't over
No, it was just where it protruded through the roof.
So nobody for the open meeting. Having no questions or comments, do I hear a motion to approve this application? Second?
Second.
Crystal?
Mrs. Canfield,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins,
Yes.
Mrs. Black.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thanks.
Thank you
Thanks.
so much, and thank you for being patient. Well, I tried to get you in sooner. Did you see that?
Yes. I don't know if Tim would have
I don't
appreciated
think he
that.
appreciated that at all. Thank you very much for
Okay.
your time.
Thank you.
Terrific. So now for our last section, I really wanted Barton, Mr. Ross, to guide us through this document. It is Essex County Safety Project. We have done this before. Really, they're really just saying we don't have any historic pieces to this, but if we could, is this something, so Barton can better explain this, can we move this to the September meeting for tonight?
Hold on a second.
Okay. Yeah, it's Essex County Safety Project, and they have to ask if there are any historic pieces to where they want to make some safety improvements.
Do they give a timeline though for, it's 12 intersections for
Yeah.
when they have a notice of
I think
proceed
it
or
was
something?
60 days. Did a quick once over, let me see.
I meant their timeline.
Yeah, I think if anybody finds it, well. But certainly,
Provide comments in 30 days of the date of this letter. Date of the letter is July 15th.
Okay,
For this, there's only one intersection that's in Milburn Township, right?
yes.
And
And
then it says that it wasn't, it doesn't seem like there's anything historic,
exactly.
right? No state or
And
national.
I did look
historic.
up the intersection, and the only piece that I found was the Hessian House. That's why I wanted Barton to be available, to give us some kind of, information on this. I think, could we proceed by having Barton write a report?
Yeah, okay, I would not bother with the report, I would just write a comment letter. Because all of these are standard, they're just.
Yeah.
You know, they're making ADA compliant, curb ramps and bump out curb extensions, which is good for pedestrian safety, signing and pavement mark upgrades. You know, the standard, I'm sure we've seen it a hundred times.
Yeah.
So I don't think, we're gonna have any objection, but if you have suggestions, they should go in a letter by August 14th.
So we'll get, I'll speak, Mr. Ross or Barton. And if there's anything that, or he can discuss it also, the comment letter and all that with us, so.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Or you can just send a draft around.
Okay.
I mean, that's not a problem. I don't view that as a open public meeting type problem in it.
Perfect. Discussion items, I gave you guys a copy of the Milburn Short Hills Historic Society Museums having an open house showcasing the work of the summer high school interns. And celebrating the birthday of the Short Hills founder, Stuart Hartshorn. Location is at the train station, August 13th, 10 to 2. Again, really just showing our support. If you're around, just stop in. Also, you know, it shows that we're supporting this educational program for internship programs. And it really teaches the importance of historic preservation in the community and also beyond. And it's kind of nice. It's like a precursor to these young people that want to learn more about their community or historic pieces. Just so you know, one of our very own board members, Justin Slane, was one of the interns for this society. And we asked him to join us on this board, and we're very lucky to have him and his enthusiasm and, you know, his interest at his age to get involved. So with the actual town and the township, so please, if you have a minute, just stop in. This really concludes our meeting for this evening. I move to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.